بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. Dear students in Human Resource Management class, welcome everybody to Al-Isra University e-learning. In this video, I will continue in chapter 8, Performance Management and Appraisal. In the last presentation, we stopped here in this section, learning objective number 4, dealing with appraisal problems and the appraisal interview. Of course, there are many problems to the appraisal process. Employees may review appraisal as or may view appraisal as unfair and unhelpful and counterproductive. These are the some problems of the performance appraisal, that employees may view it as unfair, unhelpful, and counterproductive. The solution of these problems lies in knowing where the pitfalls lie and how to avoid them. And here, many points and examples how to avoid the problems and solve the problems of performance appraisal. Firstly, ensure fairness and effective supervision. Ensure fairness and effective supervision. The first task is to ensure the appraisal is fair. Some study confirmed that some managers ignore accuracy and honesty in performance appraisal. Instead, they use the process for political purposes. So, some managers ignore accuracy and honesty in performance appraisal. The employees' standards should be clear. The standards also should be clear, and they should understand. Employees should understand on what basis you will appraise them. So the standards must be clear, and they must understand the basis to what or on what they will be appraised. And the appraisal should be objective. The appraisal should be objective. So here are some problems and how to avoid them by honesty, and the standards should be clear, and the standards should be understood by the employees. Appraisal should be objective, no bias to any employee or any segment of the employees. Another method or solution how to avoid and solve appraisal problem is to clarify standards. Clarify the standards. The appraisal scale is too open to interpretation. So this rating scale may seem objective, but would probably result in unfair appraisal because the traits and degree of merit are open to interpretation. As an example, different supervisors would probably define good performance differently. The same is true of traits such as quality of work. The best way to re-certify this problem is to develop and include descriptive phrases that define each trait and degree of merit. To overcome this problem, the best way is to recify this problem, to develop and include descriptive phrases that define each trait and degree of merit. This is to clarify the standards. Okay, another advice or tip: avoid halo effect ratings. Halo effect ratings means that the rating you give a subordinate on one trait. That means of halo effect. The rating you give a subordinate on one trait, such as gets along with others, influences the way you rate the persons on other traits. Rating the subordinates on one trait influences the way you rate the person on other traits. Thus, you might rate an unfriendly employee unsatisfactory for all traits rather than just for the trait gets along with others. Being aware of this problem is a step toward avoiding it. You must be aware of this problem to avoid halo effect. Another method: avoid the middle. Avoid the middle. The central tendency. Problem refers to a tendency to rate all employees as being about average or in the middle. All employees must be about on the middle or on average. For example, if the rating scale ranges from 1 to 7, a supervisor may tend to avoid the highs 6 and 7 and lows 1 and 2, and rate most of his or her employees between 3 and 5. Supervisors who do this restrict the range of their appraisal and therefore bestow appraisals that don't validly describe their subordinates' actual performance. Ranking employees instead of using a graphical rating scale can eliminate this problem. To eliminate this problem, the supervisors can use the graphical rating scale. Okay, another advice or method how to solve the appraising problem: don't be lenient or strict. Don't be lenient or strict. Some supervisors rate all their subordinates constantly high or low. A problem referred to as strictness or leniency problem. Strictness or leniency problem means that some supervisors rate all their employees or subordinates consistently high or low. Again, one solution is to insist on ranking subordinates because that forces the supervisor to distinguish between high and low performance. The appraisal you do may be less objective than you realize. One study focused on how personality influenced the peer evaluations students gave their peers. Raters who scored higher on conscientiousness tended to give their peers lower ratings. Those scoring high on agreeableness gave higher ratings. So don't be strictness or don't be strict or lenient. Be objective, more objective. Avoid bias. Avoid bias. Unfortunately, ratees' personal characteristics such as age, race, and gender can distort their ratings. So don't be bias or make bias on the basis of gender, race, or age. Okay, these are these are many ways how to solve the problems of appraising or appraisal, performance appraisal. Here, addressing legal issues in appraisal. Performance appraisals affect raises, promotions, training opportunities, and other personal actions. If the manager is inept or biased in making the appraisal, how can one defend the promotion decisions that stem from the appraisal? So there must be some legal issues to protect and defend the promotion decision that stem from appraisal. In one case, a 36-year-old supervisor ranked a 62-year-old subordinate at the bottom of department's rankings and then terminated him. So the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit determined that the discriminatory motives of the younger boss might have influenced the appraisal and termination. The HR in practice future summarizes some steps to make appraisals legally defensible. These are some rights and legal issues how to protect and defend the decisions of that stemmed from appraisal or performance appraisal. Okay, here learning objective number 5, explain how to conduct appraisal feedback interview. After the appraisal process or performance appraisal have been done, a performance appraisal usually culminates in appraisal interview. So after that, there is an appraisal interview. Here, you and your subordinate discuss the appraisal and formulate plans to remedy deficiencies and reinforce strength. The outcomes of a performance appraisal may be deficiencies, weaknesses, or strength. So here, in this process, in appraisal interview, the employee and his supervisor or his manager or his employer discuss how to formulate plans, how to put a plan to strengthen his weaknesses and overcome his weaknesses, and how to reinforce his strength. Few people like to receive or give negative feedback. Adequate preparation and effective implementation are therefore essential. Preparation for the appraisal interview and conducting the interview. In the preparation or preparing for the appraisal interview, the preparation requires 3 things. 3 things are required in the preparation process. Firstly, give the subordinate about a week notice to review his or her work and to compile questions and comments. So firstly, give the subordinate enough time to review his work, a week notice. Secondly, prior to appraisal, compare the employee's performance to his or her standards. Here, the comparison between the comparison of employees' performance to his or her standards, and review the person's previous appraisal prior to appraisal. Finally, the third thing, find a private area for the interview. Private area for the interview. Set a mutually agreeable time for the interview and leave enough time, perhaps a half hour, for lower level personnel such as clerical workers and an hour or so for management employees. These are the three things that are required in the preparation for the appraisal interview. And then conducting the interview. There are also several things to remember when actually conducting appraisal interviews. These things as follow. Remember that the interview's main aim is to reinforce satisfactory performance or to diagnose and improve unsatisfactory performance. The main aim is to reinforce satisfactory performance and to improve unsatisfactory performance. Therefore, be direct and specific. Be direct and specific and focus more on these two things. Reinforce satisfactory performance and improve unsatisfactory performance. Get agreement before subordinate leaves on how things will improve and by when. Another thing is get agreement before the subordinate leaves on how things will improve and when. An action plan showing steps and expected results is essential in this stage. And here you can specify any violation and show that the employee had an opportunity to correct his or her behavior. Thirdly, ensure that the review process is fair. Ensure that the review process is fair. Letting the employee participate in the appraisal interview process by expressing his or her opinion is essential. And fourth, be prepared to deal with defensiveness. Be prepared to deal with defensiveness. For example, when a person is accused of poor performance, the first reaction is usually denial, a defense mechanism. Attacking the person's defense, for instance, this is an example, the real reason you are using that excuse is that you can't bear to be blamed for anything, is usually counterproductive. One approach is to postpone action. For instance, give the person a few minutes to cool down after being informed of unsatisfactory performance is a good advice. Give the person a few minutes to cool down after being informed of unsatisfactory performance. Then focus on performance. Sales are down rather than on the persons you are being defensive. These are 4 things or several things to remember while conducting appraisal interview. And building your communication skills. Building your communication skills. This is during the interview. Good interpersonal communication skills are essential when appraising employees' performance. People don't like giving or receiving negative feedback, and appraisals thus tend to be tense, unproductive affairs. Clear, unambiguous, effective communication is vital, therefore. Pay attention. You are unlikely to create a common understanding if you don't listen attentively. Give the person your undivided attention. Full attention. Pay full attention. Then make yourself clear. For example, if you mean immediately, say immediately, not as soon as you can. Immediately. So be clear. And be an active listener. Be an active listener. Communication pioneer Carl Rogers says that active listeners don't just listen to what the speaker says, they also try to understand and respond to the feelings underlying the words. So listen by your heart, not by your ears. These are to build communication skills while conducting the interview or appraising interview. Now let's move on to learning objective number 6. Explain how to install performance management program. Performance management versus performance appraisal. In comparing performance management and performance appraisal, the distinction is the construct between a year-end event, the completion of the appraisal form, and a process that starts the year with performance planning and is integral to the way people are managed through the year. Generally, there are 3 main things distinguish performance management from performance appraisal. 3 main things to distinguish performance management from performance appraisal. Firstly, performance management never means just meeting with the subordinate once or twice a year to review your performance. It means continuous daily or weekly interaction and feedback to ensure continuous improvement. This is the meaning of performance management. Continuous daily or weekly interactions and feedback to ensure continuous improvement. So performance management means it's a continuous process. Second, performance management is always goal directed. Performance management always goal directed. The continuing performance reviews always involve comparing the employees or team's performance against goals that specifically stem from the link to the company's strategic goals. Strategic congruence is crucial. Each employee's goals should align with and support departmental and company's goals. So performance management is always goal directed. It's continuous and goal directed. Thirdly, performance management means continuously re-evaluating and, if need be, modifying how the employee and team get their work done. Depending on the issue, this may mean additional training, changing work procedures, or instituting new incentive plans, for instance. And here we can summarize performance management 6 basic elements as follow. These are the 6 basic elements for performance management. Firstly, direction sharing. Direction sharing means communicating the company's goals throughout the company and then translating these into doable departmental, team, and individual goals. Direction sharing. Goal alignment means having a method that enables managers and employees to see the link between the employees' goals and those their department and company. Goal alignment. Ongoing performance. Monitoring usually includes using computerized systems that measure and then email progress and exceptions reports based on the person's progress toward meeting his or her performance goals. And fourth, ongoing feedback includes both face-to-face and computerized feedback regarding progress toward goals. Fifth, coaching and departmental support should be an integral part of the feedback process. And sixth, recognition and rewards provide the consequences needed to keep the employees' goal-directed performance on track. These are the 6 basic elements of performance management. Direction sharing, goal alignment, ongoing performance, ongoing feedback, coaching and departmental support, and recognition and rewards. Here, using information technology to support performance management. Performance management need be high tech. For example, in many facilities, work teams simply meet daily to review their performance and to get their efforts and those of their members aligned with their performance standards and goals. Information technology enables management to automate performance management. The process is as follows. How information technology enables management to automate performance management. Firstly, assign financial and non-financial goals to each team's activities so that these goals are supportive of company's overall strategic goals. So the first thing is to assign financial and non-financial goals that for each team activity, and these goals are supportive of company's overall strategic goals. Inform all teams and employees of their goals. Secondly, inform all teams and employees of their goals. And thirdly, use IT supported tools. Use IT supported tools like online performance management software and digital dashboards to continuously display, monitor, and assess each team's and employees' performance. Special performance management software monitors and shows management a real-time view of each team performance. And finally, if exceptions are noted, take corrective action. If there is some deviations or differences or exceptions are noted, take corrective action before things swing out of control. Here, these are the process of how to automate the performance management and how to use the information technology to support performance management. The last learning objective of this chapter is to illustrate examples of segmenting and actively managing a company's talent management practices, and employee appraisal. The role of talent management. And let me firstly remember what is the meaning of talent management, as we explained in the previous or earlier in chapter 2. Talent management is goal-oriented and integrated process of planning, recruiting, developing, appraising, and compensating employees. 5 practices distinguish talent management. 5 practices: planning, recruiting, developing, appraising, and compensating employees. These practices include using the same profile or list of skills and of competencies for recruiting someone for the job as for selecting, training, appraising, and compensating that person, as well as actively managing how employees are recruited, selected, trained, appraised, and paid. These are the 5 practices: recruit, selection, training, appraising, and paid, meaning compensating. Appraising and actively managing employees. Given this emphasis on actively managing the company's talent management practitioners argue that the traditional way of appraising employees and allocating rewards is absolute, perhaps with the exception of selected fast-track employees. Managers tend to allocate rewards such as compensation and development opportunities either across the board or based on the employees' appraisal ratings, or both. They don't actively manage the process. It is preferable, talent management practitioners would argue, to focus management attention and resources on the company's mission-critical employees, those who are critical to firms' strategic needs. For example, if an employer actively managing its employees, if it gives the same percentage pay raise to every employee who rates excellent, regardless of how important that employee is to the company's future success. Increasingly, employers say no. They do use performance appraisal to evaluate how their employees are performing. However, they also segment their employees based on how critical the employees are to the company's success. They focus more attention and resources on company's mission-critical employees. So in this process, they segment the employees according to the value of those employees to the company. How to segment employees? There is Accenture uses a 4x4 strategic role assessment matrix to plot employees by performance. And this matrix performance is exceptional, high, medium, and low. And the value to the organization segments mission critical, core, necessary, or not non-essential. This is the matrix. This is in this row the performance: exceptional, high, average, and low. And the value to the organization: mission critical, core, necessary, non-essential. So the employee in this area, high performance with mission critical or exceptional with mission critical or exceptional with core, provide additional rewards and experiences, and provide development opportunities to benefit individual and organization. And employees in this area provide training and experiences to prepare for mission critical. And employees in this area who's allocated here, for example, average in performance and necessary to the organization, or low in performance but they are mission critical, identify as at risk, provide additional training and performance management attention to improve motivation and performance, and or to move into necessary or core roles. And finally, employees in this area, in the blue area, they are on average performance but non-essential, or they are in low performance and necessary, and in low performance and non-essential, divest or seek alternative sources. These are the appraisal or the 4x4 strategic role assessment matrix. The company would then tie pay, development, dismissal, and other personal decisions to each employee's position in the matrix, not just to their performance rating. So in this, according to this matrix, we put or take in consideration the performance ratings and the value to the organization. And here some examples of segmenting and actively managing employees in practice, some real examples. Several examples can illustrate how employers implement this active management segment approach, and these are for example, Compass Group PLC identifies top performance, then Compass assesses them for promotability time frame and leadership potential. Top employees then get special coaching and feedback and development opportunities. Compass monitors their progress. General Electric prioritizes jobs and focuses on what it calls its employees game changer. Tesco, for example, segments employees according to personal and professional goals to better communicate and motivate its employees. Tesco is another company as a grocery company, Compass. And Shell, for example, Shell is for petrol and gas company. Shell China appoints career stewards to meet regularly with emerging leaders. Then they help them set realistic career exceptions and make sure they are getting the right development opportunities. Here, these are examples for real examples for how to segment and actively manage employees in practice. This only you can read them to for more understanding. And that's all for this chapter and for this video, for today's video. By that we can say that this chapter is finished, and this is the end of this chapter. Next video we will start a new chapter. That's all for today. Thank you so much for listening, and see you in the next meeting.